Hi, this is Charlene Chamberlain for WTER, and you're listening and watching Front Row. And I'm back with George Manney for part 2 of our series on Philadelphia music. Hi, George. Welcome back. I just saw you a few minutes ago, and here you are again.
It's great. The flight in was really easy.
Oh, good. That's good to hear. Before we get started with George, I want to make a pretty exciting announcement. I don't know if our listeners know, but I do a lot of work with BRE Presents, which is the premier concert production company in our market. We also run some tours down into Florida and up into North Jersey and Pennsylvania. But I'm very excited and happy to announce that we are booking a series of concerts at the Sun Center in Delaware County. Now, the Sun Center are TV and video sound stages out near the airport in Philadelphia, and we are doing some outdoor festival seating style concerts this summer. It's called the Sun Center Starlight Summer Series. And some of the artists we have booked so far are Buddy Guy, Straight No Chaser, the Indigo Girls, and Raul Malo and the Mavericks will be back. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. I know we're going to have some more coming in. So we're pretty excited to announce this. This is a first for us and a first for them. We think it's going to be a great outdoor venue for music this summer. So log on to BRE Presents when you get a chance and have a look at the website. So back to you, George. What's happening with your film? I know we started to talk a little bit about Philly pop music, so let's hear a little bit more about that. What stage are you in? I know you've been working on this for about 10 years now. I know it's a labor of love, a really big project for you, a big project for all of us when it's finished. So where are you right now, and do you need to reach out or give a shout out for some help?
I would think it's a reach out for some help.
Okay.
And that could be in the field of editing, some design, PR, and eventually some funding. And one good thing that has been beneficial is that the Philadelphia Film Office has become a partner with us as we are under their umbrella as a nonprofit. Right. So anyone who donates $25 or more to our project it's tax deductible.
And they can make that donation through the Philadelphia Film Office?
Yes, they can.
That website is film.org. For anybody that's interested in participating and helping get this film done, Philly pop music, historical film, a documentary, go to film.org. And what do they log on to? Is there a page for Philly pop music?
It's a page for the nonprofits that they do with their umbrellas. It's the correct term, but it's an umbrella you fall under with that.
That's exactly what it is, right?
And I actually have their direct link on my website too.
Okay, and what is your website? Tell our listeners so they can log on and check it out.
I have phillypopmusic.com.
Okay.
Or geosound, GELSOUND.org, O-R-G.
Okay.
And they have the direct links right there.
So did you work with Joni Bressler?
Yes, she's the one who approved the proposition to work like that,
okay.
Which is great,
yeah,
really
that's
great.
Great that the film office is supporting you. That's really wonderful.
And
so I know you probably have a lot of footage. Do you have enough to do, probably knowing you, with all your memorabilia and everything, you probably have enough to do a couple of films.
It could be a series.
A series, right.
On the whole pop music from the Philadelphia area, and that touches into rock, folk, jazz, even classical. Because what's interesting, the Philadelphia Orchestra, I guess it was during the early period with Ormandy that they
worked. Eugene Ormandy, right?
Yes, that the term, the Philadelphia sound, was used for that orchestra.
Really?
And
then it's TSOP,
right.
The sound of Philadelphia.
Right.
Right.
And I also think that the Philadelphia Orchestra was the first orchestra to perform live on syndicated television.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty interesting. And was it in the United States, the syndication?
In the United States, right.
Okay.
And the first printed sheet music is from Philadelphia. So all this is part of the documentary.
I think, isn't the oldest piano manufacturing company Cunningham?
I think from Philadelphia.
They
yes.
are. They're in Germantown because
yes.
I know, but I think they're the oldest.
Right.
And they still actually make and recondition pianos there.
And then believe the first American band conductor to tour Europe was from Philadelphia, was Francis Johnson back in
Okay.
the late 1800s.
Wow, you really dug deep for this
And
stuff.
actually
This is
performed
amazing.
for the Queen of England.
Neat.
So yeah, there's a lot of history, and then like I said, I started the project after my accident, and I wasn't able to go out
Well,
and
let's
perform
talk
like
about
I
your
used to.
accident. I knew you when that happened. George was actually working at Tower Records in
Right.
Philadelphia at the time, and you were actually, what I remember is you were
Making a
in the
deposit.
parking lot going to the bank to make the deposit for the
Right.
store, and
So I was
you were...
going across the Roosevelt Boulevard and at the traffic light there.
Right.
Next thing I know, I was in the street. My leg was laying the opposite way, and I couldn't get up. And
It's horrible. Oh my God,
all these
it's
people were
horrible.
coming around me, and
We didn't think he was going to make it.
yeah, I didn't know at the time because my hip was torn out of the socket, so I felt that pain,
Yeah.
and my knee was sliced, and I
Right.
didn't know that I had a brain or a head injury
Injury.
at that point.
Yeah.
And that's what everybody was freaking out about, and they kept on repeating, what day it is, what's
What's
your
your
name,
name?
what time is
Right.
it, this type of thing. So anyway, that was a
What year was
Yeah.
that?
93, I think,
Mhm.
94.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
So that
I
was
was
pretty
in a
rough. You were in the hospital for how many months?
maybe 2 months, but then I was in a hospital bed at home for 8 months.
Oh my gosh. Yeah,
Then I had to
that's-
learn to walk all over again, but I had
Yeah,
crutches, and anyway.
sure.
So I couldn't play drums for years.
No.
And I had to stop playing at Dobbs. I had this weekly gig there
Mm-hmm.
for 10 years. So anyway, I started borrowing video cameras, and I thought, like, well, let me just
If I
start
can't do
interviewing
it,
some other
if I can't
musicians.
do it, I can still at least be there and participate, right?
Right. So I started interviewing people, and they were very open to it because I guess being a musician myself, they would sit down and talk to me, very open about everything.
Right.
So that was nice.
Is that kind of what led to the inkling of the idea for the Philly pop music
Right.
film?
Yeah.
That's how it got started. So really, out of your accident, because of that accident,
Right.
that kind of threw you into that.
And then out of my accident, I did 2 CDs.
Yeah, let's look at those. Talk about this one. This is called The Last Minute Jam. There's volume 1 and volume 2. This is volume 2.
Right.
And who's on this? It's like a whole cadre of...
That's everyone
Philly
from Lauren
musicians.
Hart to Marvis Frazier to the Soul Survivors, Tommy Conway.
Everybody, right?
Yeah, and what I did, because I thought that I wanted to do something positive after my accident, which was a negative in my life, I did these recordings and I produced them and had a manufacturer put them out. And I gave partial proceeds to Settlement Music School, the Juvenile Diabetes Foundation,
Okay.
and the last one, the Philadelphia chapter of the Recording Academy, the Grammy
Nice,
people.
sure.
And the reason why I did, I thought the Settlement Music School was the oldest teaching school in the country.
Yes, it is.
And juvenile diabetes, I chose that because of my father was diabetic.
Right,
And then with the Recording Academy, because I was a voting member.
absolutely.
But the difficult thing for the second one was, I had my mother play on this, but
Your mother played on this?
yeah, but she was killed during the process while I was still making
Oh my
this.
gosh, I'm so sorry to hear that.
So I couldn't, I had to stop because I was like
course.
devastated. I
Oh,
was like,
yeah,
so
absolutely.
there's a picture of my mother inside, and I
Mhm.
dedicated the record to her.
Mhm.
So that was the first thing I worked on with these 2. And we actually did a TV show on prison. We had a special about the whole thing.
I
And
remember
Cindy
that.
Drew was like the host.
Right, Cindy
And,
Drew.
Did some other things with Helen White from
Mm-hmm.
WXPN. Then.
Right. And Michael Tierson, I think he did the voiceover for your trailer for
For the Philly Pop
right,
Trailer,
like
yes,
the
he did.
sizzle-
Michael
sizzle
Tierson did.
trailer. Yeah.
So I wanted to have someone that was recognizable as a voice,
Mm-hmm.
and
he sure is.
he's got this certain character and charm to his voice that I
Mhm.
liked as a young kid growing up listening to
Right.
underground music
Of
on
course.
radio.
Oh my God.
So it was a perfect fit. It was like, so that worked really good. So I put together a little trailer for the Philly Pop project to try and garner some interest.
Mhm.
And so now it's started to pick up more with that. But I also got sidetracked during this whole
Because of
process.
Rufus.
Yeah, one of the
Let's talk about this, the pipes of peace. I don't know if you can see.
When was that, just have one quick question, the last minute jam, was that with Frank Gamble?
Frank Gambale.
Gambale?
That was a live thing we did.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was like because we would play.
From the song, is that from the disc though?
That's not on the disc. That's just a
Okay.
jam.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
He's
Yeah, I
a
saw
world
JC
famous
Dobbs.
jazz guitar player.
Yeah.
Right.
Very cool.
Yeah, and what would happen was like Ibanez and Tamer are right outside of Philadelphia,
Right.
and a lot of their artists that were signature guitars, they would be in town at the Ibanez factory, and then they would come into town and come to Dobbs, down
Right.
to JC Dobbs, and
And
play and
play.
sit in with us.
Sure.
It was Greg Davis, Wally Smith,
Oh, yeah.
Michael Radcliffe, and myself.
Sure, I know all of those guys.
Right,
Yeah.
so it's like it was a perfect fit. It became packed every week.
Every week, JC
Yeah.
Dobbs, I mean, I grew up going over, like, you know, I mean,
And-
I was
Sure, me
old
too.
enough to go in there, I could,
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I really, I went over there every weekend.
Well,
We
speaking
started in 1986, and what's
Right.
interesting, I found out later, what was going on in the later part of the 80s and maybe the early part of the 90s. This other band that became very big from Philadelphia, the Roots,
Roots.
were outside. Then they eventually would come in because
Right,
they
but
were
would
playing on the
just-
street.
They would just be on South Street playing.
Yeah.
it feels,
So it was like it all correlates together, and we're all in this whole project together. That's the
Nice.
cool thing about it. So the other interesting thing about Rufus.
Talk a little bit about Rufus Harley, right? And here's a shot
So-
of the DVD.
Rufus Harley was the world's first jazz bagpipe player.
And he's an African American,
Right.
to top it off.
Well-
and he plays in a kilt.
jazz,
Bagpipe
Bagpipes.
player.
Right. And he also played on the first Roots album, and he played on Laurie Anderson's first album. But
Yeah.
going back to when he started to do this in the 60s, he picked up the jazz, I mean, he didn't pick up jazz, but he picked up the bagpipes after seeing President Kennedy's funeral march on TV when the Black Watch
Mhm,
bagpipers
yes.
were playing.
Mhm.
And he figured, you know what, if I can play jazz on one of those things,
I'm in.
I'm like, I can be completely different than anybody else.
Yeah.
And he taught himself. He didn't know what he was doing at first because he put the pipes on the wrong side, and he didn't know how to completely do the chanter. It was
Right.
he's just, and no one wanted to teach him because he was black, and there was a prejudice thing going on back then. This is like you're talking about
So-
'64.
So you were following along with this, right?
I
and
first-
you knew him.
I first saw Rufus Harley at a Being concert
A Being concert.
during
oh
the
my gosh.
whole counterculture
Oh yeah,
thing.
yeah, sure.
And he came out and played one afternoon with all the
Right.
rock bands.
Right.
And I was like, wow.
What is that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, he was part of the document, the Philly Pop project. He died, and I wanted to do something for him and his family, and I just put together this film, and I didn't know what I was doing. I never,
So was this like the first film,
right.
really?
I never edited a film. I never made.
But you went for it
Chap-
because you had the passion and the heart
right.
to do it, and he was a friend, and I think that's a pretty wonderful thing.
And what's interesting about it, like Kenny Gamble, I interviewed Kenny Gamble for this, Tommy Conwell, Pat Martino, Pat Martino,
Right.
The governor, who was our governor back then, which was Ed Rendell, is in the film.
Uh-huh.
It's just little clips.
Right.
And Stookie, who was the lead singer from that.
Sure.
But the really interesting thing was, like, I went to New York and interviewed Joel Dorn, who was his record producer, who got him
Mhm.
signed to Atlantic Records.
Right.
And Joel Dorn was the record producer who found not just Rufus Harley and Bayard Lancaster from Philadelphia, but he found Bette Midler and signed her. He found Roberta Flack and signed her.
Wow.
I can go on and on and on.
Yeah.
And when I went to film him for this, I filmed the last interview with Joel Dorn.
Before
and
he
when
passed away?
And when he passed away, Lincoln Center contacted me for their tribute. It was going to be
Like a memorial service
yes.
for him?
at Lincoln Center with all these artists that he made famous.
Sure.
And then I did a little segment
They
of his
asked
interview.
you to put together like a death documentary,
Yeah.
right?
And
Yeah.
so they ran my film of him,
That's pretty
and people
neat.
just flipped out in New York.
Congratulations. Yeah.
It was an honor for me to be able to do that.
Absolutely, and I'm
And-
sure, I know we talked about this on the ride over, I'm sure with all the memorabilia that you have, I mean, you are the historian for the Philadelphia market and then some. So you're the collector, you're the keeper of the memories here, George. So when these things happen and these musicians and artists pass, they're going to come to you for all the information.
Yeah,
Get used to it.
I know. The unfortunate thing is because the digital age has changed so quickly is that when I started to do this, I was doing this with digital cameras, but they were standard def. This is before high def was even in existence. So this, you would have to either use it as archival footage like you do from the National Archives, or bump it up to a, Blu-ray-ish, high def film. So that's another process that has to be considered for the project.
Right. So I just want to say again that George does need some help. I think it's a great project. If there are any students out there that might be interested in getting involved, I'm going to ask you to please contact George. And what's your website again? How can they get you? Can they get you on your website?
Either phillypopmusic.com or through my own, which is geosound.org. GEOSOUND.org, and I'm sure George would be happy to speak with you about his project. And I actually have the Philly Pop music on Facebook too.
Oh, good. Okay, so you can reach him through Facebook as well.
Right.
What else do we have here?
This was to try and keep the cost down with the film. I put together two shows. One was at TLA, and this was at.
Can you see this?
Yep.
That one was done at World Cafe Live.
This is Philly's Finest Musical Moments, and it features Ken Queter, Nick Everett, Clutch Cargo, Rufus Harley, the Soul Survivors, the Orlons, Naz, Linda Cohen. Wow, haven't heard that name in a long time. So what is this? This is just a limited edition All-Star CD.
Right, we called the shows the Brother Love All-Stars.
Okay.
So we did two of them, and I filmed it.
Oh,
so
great.
we would have that, and then I had 8-track audio recordings of each band too.
Okay.
Because cost-wise, if the artist is redoing the song over, it's cheaper than licensing the actual masters.
Right.
That's always the problem with
Absolutely.
doing a documentary, because they want so much money up front,
I know.
which is
But if you already have it,
right.
it's easier.
So that's the difficult thing of doing any music documentary is
Mhm.
the licensing.
I know. Licensing is difficult in all areas of
Right.
music at this point in time. Really, it is. It's pretty hard.
I know. Yeah, it really is. And unfortunately, that's what happens in the business end.
Right. I do want to pop in here. There's one thing that George hasn't told you about. He kind of volunteers and works at is it the Guitar Center?
Oh,
Oh,
Sam Ash Music.
At Sam Ash Music,
In
and what
Philadelphia.
location?
Philadelphia at the,
Are you Welsh?
that was a Franklin Mills Mall.
Franklin Mills Mall. And what do you do there on Wednesday night? Is it
I
Wednesday nights?
host
Wait a
the,
minute. Wednesday nights.
Yeah.
Which are here tonight.
I know.
Uh-oh. I'm sorry.
I
Took
refuse.
you away from it.
But yeah, I usually host the open mic night there.
So George hosts an open mic night on Wednesday nights at Sam Ash at Franklin Mills Mall. What time?
7 to 8:30.
7 to 8:30. And how can people jump in there and sing and play? Do they have to sign up early? Do
You
they
just
have to
come up
call
here
in?
around 6:30, 7:15,
Come
sign
up
up.
to the store?
Yeah.
Okay.
And you actually, if you perform, you get a $10 gift card.
Well, that's pretty nice. That's
It's
great.
like getting paid to
So
do
do
an
you
open
perform
mic.
every Wednesday so you can get your gift card on top of your pay?
No, they don't allow me to do that. No,
No,
I
of
can't
course
do
not.
that. No.
Do you have some backup band members there, or is it just come as you are and just do whatever you want? Because I know with a lot of the open mic nights, like at Scatoros and
Well, you know what's
places
interesting?
like
What I
that.
did on the in December, we did a big special at the new Legendary Dobbs on South Street in remembrance of Alan Mann with his Christmas on the Block.
Oh my gosh,
So
I have
prior-
that single. I
so-
still have it.
So prior to that, we did a couple of the Wednesday nights with some of the people I was backing up
Okay,
to get
Got
a run through.
right. Well, that's great.
Yeah,
That's
so we
a
did
lot
that.
of fun. So if you want to play,
And you know
come
what's
on out
cool
to
about
Franklin
it?
Mills. Yeah.
You can actually use any instrument in the store.
Really?
Oh, we have amps
Even
set
the real
up. Yeah.
expensive Strats and.
Oh yeah, people use the
Wow.
expensive Martin guitars, acoustics.
Wow.
Yeah.
I can't believe that they actually let the general public do that.
Oh yeah, they do.
Somebody must be standing there supervising it. Is that you?
Yeah, maybe. But they encourage that. It's actually on the front door. We encourage they come in and
Come
play,
in and
please.
play.
that's
Wow.
on there, and it's like one of their trademarks.
Well, it must be working.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it
And
is.
it takes place at every one of their stores.
Oh, I didn't know that. I
Yeah.
thought it was just your store
No.
because of you.
No, they asked me to do it because of my past work with the Last Minute Jam Band.
Sure.
So that's what the.
Well, is there anything else you want to let our listeners know about your, your projects? Anything else we need to get
What else
out
do we
there?
have?
What's next for you? Are you doing any gigs
Oh.
with Charlie?
Well, actually, you know what? March 7th,
Mm-hmm.
we're going to be showing the Rufus film,
Okay, where will that be?
and we're showing the Dobbs film together
Oh, really?
at Vinyl Revival
Oh,
in,
my
in
gosh.
Lansdowne
Okay. What time?
at 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock.
And then following that, every Saturday through March at 2 o'clock. They'll-
At Vinyl
Revival.
In
In
Lansdowne.
Lansdowne.
In Lansdowne. Okay. Well, that's good to know.
Yeah.
That's
At
great.
2 o'clock every Saturday after the 7th,
Okay. Fun.
which is nice.
Mm-hmm. That's great.
It's, celebration of all the music again.
I know, and that's what you need to do. You really need to celebrate the music.
I had a question for you.
Uh-oh, I hope I can answer it. Don't make it too hard.
How do you feel not being part of a record company anymore?
Free.
I mean, because the whole thing has changed a lot.
Yeah, music totally changed, and I really left Capitol, I guess it was in actually Richard Brothers closed in 92, so I exited there, ended up at Universal. I was at Universal for a couple years helping to get their marketing and PR department up, and then from there I was at Capitol, and then things kind of wound down at Capitol. It just really wasn't going that well, and we kept getting sold, and our office was closed, and they moved us to Baltimore, and I didn't really want to go to Baltimore, so I hung in there and started to work for some indie labels, some classical lines, and I was actually, in your store doing some sales and a little bit of marketing as well. And that I was just trying to hang on because the music business for me was just one of the best times of my life. The people were wonderful, the work was fun, it was exciting, there was always something going on, someplace to go, something to do. And I love music, and I'm a musician myself, so it was a perfect fit. But the music changed, technology really did change our business, and it's still changing our business. So there is still a music industry. Not many people work in it anymore.
No, I know.
So I'm happy I'm in concert promotion because I'm still involved in it, and I'm still actually doing what I love to do, PR and marketing and promotions, only, for live events, and it's a good thing. So thanks for asking. George, thanks again for being on our show. This is Charlene Chamberlain for Front Row. This is WTER. Thanks for watching, and thanks for listening.